So today I was thinking and want to talk about a conversation I had yesterday with my dad. And the topic is focusing on one thing at a time and how multitasking is either killing your business or halting the progression. And if we haven't met before, hi, my name is Adam. I own a home service business here in North Dallas. And for the past 5 years, I took it from a startup all the way to $1 million business. And it wasn't until recently that I've able to implement a few key things that have made it so the business runs on its own without me so that I can do the things that I need to do in the business. And I usually work about 5 hours a day. And I started this YouTube channel in hopes that the things that I have learned and I'm learning, I'll be able to pass it on to you, because I see so many small business owners that are in need of help. And a lot of the people that are able to help out, they have these ginormous businesses where they're doing 10, 30, $100 million a year. And they're trying to remember what it was like being in our shoes. And there's so often I feel this ginormous disconnect. All right, so in this video, I want to talk about the concept of focusing on just one thing at a time and not multitasking. So right off the bat, you're probably thinking this is what I've thought for so long is, yeah, great for people who can do that, whether they don't have ADHD or ADD like I do, and I have to focus on multiple things at a time in order for me to even have the desire to work and get motivated to do things. Or they have a business kind of like mine that runs on its own. And so now I'm able to focus on one thing at a time. Well, what happens when you aren't in those positions and you feel like you have to focus on a lot of things at the same time and multitasking, especially if you're wearing multiple hats in your business? It kind of doesn't make sense, at least it didn't for me, when someone said just focus on one thing and not multitasking, because I felt like that was literally impossible. So I want to take you through this conversation I had with my dad yesterday. So the conversation was about him and his business. So he's just starting out and he wants to become an author. So he's just retired from the military and he's got a couple books published so far, and he's got other books that he's written and he's working on publishing. And he's really enjoyed the process of writing these children's books and coming up with the creative ideas and how it works out and how to piece it all together. And it seems like he is completely enjoying his retirement. But it's crazy how it's like every month he'll call me and he says, Adam, I'm just not making enough sales. I don't know how I'm going to make any money as a children's book author. I don't know how it's going to work out. This person tried and didn't work out, and he's got really discouraged. And so I asked him about it. Asked him, well, what kind of things are you focusing on? Because if you're trying to focus on doing absolutely everything that you can do as an author, you're writing books, you're publishing them, you're having illustrators design and illustrate the books. You have to make sure that they do that correctly. You have to make sure that the book is edited, and then you have to figure out Facebook ads, and you have to set up a website, and then you have to, use Amazon if that's where you want to sell it. And he's selling books right now at farmers market. So how do you set up that booth? How do you sell there? And it just gets super, super overwhelming. And he has gotten so overwhelmed and bogged down by all the stuff that he's got to do in order to be a successful children's book author. I had to stop him for a minute and I said, I wish I was in your shoes, because, and this part that I'm about to say is something that he said a year or two ago. I said, I wish I was in your shoes because you don't have any employees, you don't have any overhead, the government is paying you for your retirement, and so you really don't have any pressure to make sure that this happens right now or nobody gets paid. And so it's just you. So why are you rushing to add all of these things? Because what happens with us entrepreneurs, we're building a business and hiring people. And if we stop for a moment to try to think about the business and, try to focus on one thing, we'll feel like it'll start falling apart, and then we won't be able to run payroll. And so we focus on, out of desperation, all of these things like, oh, our ads aren't running very well, and let's focus on that. Oh, we don't have a wrap truck, we should do that. Oh, I need to hire this other laborer and train them. And we're bouncing around doing all these things, mostly out of desperation. But my dad, He's retired, has money coming in, and just started out, no employees, but yet the crazy thing is, it doesn't matter what stage you're in, you will always find a way to do that. It's really easy to say, well, the stage I'm in, there's no way I can focus on one thing at a time, because that's what my dad felt, and he still feels that way. He calls me like every month feeling completely overwhelmed with all the things that he has to do. So this conversation I had yesterday with him, I said, if you ever feel super discouraged like this and overwhelmed, it's because you have strayed away from the thing that you're primarily focusing on. And the things that you're not focusing on, that will feel like you're neglecting it and you now need to focus on it. And so for him, this year, the sole goal is literally to write books and then to sell them at the farmers markets. That's it. And so half the year has been going by and he's been doing great. But now he's trying to publish some books and have them printed for him to sell for Christmas so that he can get some more money. And so now he's focusing on another thing. And then he thought, well, that's not going to be enough money. I need to do Facebook ads, and then I need to sell on Amazon. And all of a sudden he's added all these extra things that he doesn't need right now because that's not what he needs to focus on. So I asked him, I dove in a little bit more, and I said, okay, well, why does this keep happening where we have a plan to focus on one thing, and then you kind of back away from that idea and then focus on a lot of things? And he told me, he said, I feel like if I don't, I'm going to be missing out. And that really hit home because about 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago, I saw that all these other companies that were home service businesses, especially in the lighting industry like I am, do temporary Christmas lights for the Christmas season. Now, we already do permanent Christmas lights during the busy season, and we're usually slammed with that, but yet for some reason I felt like I needed to add that other product and service into our business. And so I paid for training, and we got some of the product. We practiced on a few houses, like my house and a few of my friends' houses, and we got the hang of it. We came up with systems, and I'm like, great. We're not going to be missing out this year. And I think we sold like 5, 6, maybe 7 jobs. Now that's it. It was a great experience, but if that's what I was missing out on, then it's kind of silly that I was trying to push it so hard. Then the next Christmas happened, and I felt badly that we only had 5 to 7 jobs the year before. And so I decided, this is the year that we're going to do it. And I think we did 8 or 9 jobs, and half of them were jobs that we did prior, the year before. Like, okay, so you're telling me that I was stressed out, that I was going to miss out on this opportunity for these less than 20 jobs? I could have invested that time, that mental state, the focus on pushing the products that were already working and doing well, and maybe running another crew and really pushing that. But I didn't. I was focused on doing something that was not going to really work out, and then now my focus is split. And so essentially, us having a sole focus where we can put our attention and most of our effort in, that should be the main focus. Yes, we could do some of these other little things here, but the sole focus should take the majority of our time and attention. One of the things that I changed in our business recently is, so there's this book called The E-Myth, revisited by Michael Gerber, where he talks about the 3 roles. The first one is the entrepreneur, the second one is the manager, and the third one is the technician or the laborer, and how they kind of clash. And so, but a lot of entrepreneurs are all 3, and so it's hard to focus on all 3 of them. And I thought I was doing a better job than the people that are all 3 roles by hiring people to do the technician part and the sales part. But what I didn't realize until recently was I was still the manager and I was still the entrepreneur, and the management is not my expertise, but the entrepreneur part is. I've been running my business with both these roles in my head, where on one side, I'm trying to maintain the business, make sure everything is run well, and on the other side, I'm trying to push the business to get more leads, sell more, and it's really hard to do both because they fight each other. If you're the business owner and you're doing both the management and the entrepreneur, especially entrepreneur in sales and stuff, and you're more of an entrepreneur and salesman than the manager, then you're constantly in a state of fighting yourself mentally. And it wasn't until I figured out how to make my business run on its own and manage itself that I was able to completely let go of that role of management and staying in the lane of being an entrepreneur and pushing my business and seeing the vision of my business. So whatever the reason is that you are unable to focus on one thing at a time, whether it's in these bigger categories like being the entrepreneur and you're also the manager of your business. It doesn't have to be like only work on one project at a time, but it can be. But whatever it is in your business and in your life that you feel like you're focusing on too many things, if you have too many products in your business, if you're running too many different types of advertisements, whatever it is, get it to the point where your business is not constantly multitasking at things. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in learning how I got my business to manage itself so I could be the entrepreneur, then click the link below. If you want to work with us as well, you can click the link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.